And from the looks at the size of the room this morning, this will be one of the largest turnouts that we've had in the 6 years. So congratulations and thank you. This was a concept that we thought about back in 2012. And so we held our first annual lobby day in 2013. And it's made quite a difference. And for those of you who weren't here last night, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. But it does make a difference. It has an impact on your collective bargaining. It has an impact on the Public Employee Relations Act and our ability to protect your rights in the workplace. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to have a voice at the Capitol, at the bargaining table, and an impact on the legislative session.
We're going over, talking to our senators, our legislators. We're representing everybody that we work for. We're representing the laws that we want passed that are going to benefit us. When a senator or a legislator talk about a bill, what they're going to change their mind for, what they're going to vote for, they're listening to their community. If no one shows up and talks about a bill, they're not going to know or care or even want to vote in our favor. That's why we're going there to represent.
My experience has always been that they want to talk to their constituents. They want to understand the issues from your point of view. They hear from lobbyists and people in the governor's office all the time about these issues. They want to know how these issues impact the people who live in their district.
This was all new, so I knew nothing about this until today, but it wasn't hard at all. So you take notes, you speak with them, and it's just a matter of talking with them like you would do friends and family.
The great thing about coming down here is Gus does all the work for you. So you sign up online, Gus sends you an email, and when you show up this morning, he tells you when they set up all the meetings, he tells you when to show up at your legislator's office.
You're going to see on your sheets that some of your legislators are in committee. So what I'm going to need you to do is when you're ready, when you have your downtime and you want to go see that legislator, text me. And I am going to text me the name of the legislator. I am going to text you back that legislator's room. And you're going to go there. You're going to ask the LA to pull the representative or the senator out of committee, and they will do that for you.
So I also met my own representative, Peter Fisher. He was called out of committee to come and meet with me and one of my other sisters, Teamsters sisters. So he came out of committee, took our paperwork, took notes, listened to us, talked to us briefly before he went back into session, which was very cool. I kind of felt bad about interrupting him, but apparently that was something that he does. When we got here, they gave us talking points. We had a PowerPoint. They gave us handouts specific to our bargaining unit to talk about with our legislators.
We really appreciate that. First, what happens is we campaign together, and then what happens is we govern together. And we bring the values that we talked about on the campaign to the governing process. What we talked about on the campaign is that Minnesotans really value investments in our state and investments in each other. It's not just about building roads for us to drive to work on, but it's about investing in the people that will work at the jobs in the state of Minnesota. So we put forward a very bold budget. We are relying on tax fairness and taxing corporations and the very wealthy fairly to pay their fair share in order to fund.
My first priority would be the public defenders, and that's what my bill should reflect. It was released this morning as well too, so I'm happy to help out this year and then in future years as well too. And I thank you for all the work that you do for the people of Minnesota, making sure people's liberties are held true and that folks are held accountable for the things that happen to usually folks who are on the lowest economic tier of the state. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Unfortunately, the House and the Senate both called session today at noon. That was the time we were going to go meet with Connie Bernardy in the state office building. So now we're going to all have, everybody that's in these select groups and who are constituents, we're all going to have to go to the state capitol. We're going to have to pull Connie Bernardy out of session. She's going to come out and talk to us in the hall. And Ed Reynoso is going to lead that effort.
Representative Bernardy is a phenomenal advocate for workers, phenomenal advocate for men and women, working men and women across our state. She's a huge ally for Teamster jobs, and I'll tell you, as the chair of the Higher Ed Committee, is a huge ally for us in the higher ed system. So she has fought, she's continuing to fight for funding to make sure our higher ed system is fully funded, to make sure that we have the money there to be able to provide good wages and benefits for our workers at the U of M too. It's really important, but she plays a huge role in that. So thank you for all your hard work, Representative Bernardy.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to need your support in the bill that I'm moving forward in higher education. Not only does it fully fund the system's request, it does a tuition freeze for our students. So so I'm really proud that we're actually fully funding all of the needs at the universities and colleges, and we are going to do a tuition freeze. So that's our plan. We have to be able to work with the other branches. So anything you can do to help get the message how important this is, and we need to be investing in our students again.
We wanted to make sure that you saw yourselves reflected in that budget that we assembled. So from public defenders to folks who work in higher education to school bus drivers and school employees, we hope that you feel seen, heard, and valued in what we assembled. And I also want to just note, we heard y'all on higher ed that we needed to go back and make some changes. So part of the reason why, and the governor and I, if you haven't noticed, really enjoy spending time all across the state. So we hit the road and we did listening sessions, and we heard from you that we needed to add some additional funding there, and we will, thank you.
You know, public education, I mean, for a lot of people, that's been the door. I mean, that's the key for many people to get out of poverty.
Absolutely.
And then school debt, I don't need to tell you about school debt.
The University of Minnesota is such a gem, and it's attributed to the workers and the staff that are there.
You attended university?
I did. I have my master's from the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, and so I think that it's super important. So, and you guys do a great job of making sure your agenda is known and your priorities are known, so that's very smart and helpful.
Thank you very much. We take pride in the University of Minnesota, all the workers that work there.
So anything you can do to help get the message how important this is, and we need to be investing in our students again and being able to keep the quality programs and faculty and everyone that makes our universities great in helping to provide the best programming and education for our kids. So I'm really excited to be the chair this year, and I just want to let you know my brother was a Teamster, so yay Teamsters.
Yeah. Do you see any issues that you see or that you're struggling with that we can take back to our members and more or less say, get out there and get the word out?
Well, I think the key is that, you know, as we come together and try to put this budget together, it's a real challenge with divided government, but there is still opportunity to put together an actual working budget that serves Minnesotans. So I think as you have, you know, your members, that they want to reach out to their reps and their senators and just let them know what their priorities are. You know, this is the time of year where we need to hear from real people and not lobbyists.
Because I'm a lawyer, I'm familiar with the severe funding crunch that we have in Minnesota's public defender system. And it's just unconscionable, the caseloads that people have and the salary levels. And we've really got to be aggressive about doing something. We have to be willing to be bold and propose to increase revenue to pay for the things that we value.
What would happen if one of your constituents was accused of a crime and he or she was innocent, but because of an overstaffed, overworked, underpaid public defender, they didn't get the justice they deserved and they were found guilty of that felony? They lose their gun rights. Over.
As you go over and you go down the street and you talk to folks in the House and the Senate, it's important to say that no is not a plan. And if you have a plan to lead us to prosperity and to opportunity for Minnesotans, we would really like to see it. Because we have put our best offer out there. in partnership with all of you, and want to make sure that we are investing in working families and know that when unions are doing well in Minnesota, Minnesotans are doing well.
Last time I probably talked to many of you, I was Secretary Treasurer of the AFL. And I have to tell you, I am so lucky to be in this position after coming out of labor. Though I am good, most of the speech is going to be stories, which I think is amazing, which is what you have, I know, spent your morning doing, telling your stories at the legislature. And as you know, no matter what statistics you put out there, it's your stories that matter. It is not that hard. Believe me, if you have tried to go into tough negotiations, it's easier to do this. So, with that, I thank you for all your support, everything you taught me. I am so excited to stand up for you and your pension and all the work that you do and make sure that your decisions show up in our numbers.
Right now, we're going to follow Gus and we're going to head over to the Senate Majority Leader's office to deliver the public defense petition.
Well, Senator Gazelka was there, and then he went into his office and shut the door and wouldn't take a meeting. So we left the petition up front with his assistant. I don't know why he just didn't take it and say thank you. I guess that's what he thinks of us.
He saw this group of people coming down towards his office, and he chose to walk into the door of his office. So he knew exactly what he was doing. He chose to avoid the employees of the Public Defender's Office and the Teamsters. We can't forget that we're treated like that. Constituents of his can't forget that, and they need to know that that's exactly what happened. We know that. We all know that the public defenders play a critical role in his district and that particular community. So come election time, we're not going to forget that, and we're going to make sure that we do our job and educate the community.
Just, I mean, folks, you live in a district represented by a Republican senator. And weigh in now, because if you can get them to budge in now, between now and when final negotiation is done in May, that can help too. And if they don't toe the line of what the Teamsters want, get them out of there.
Teamster power! There he is. Now I know where Gus is.